So this video is all about my advice on having the most enjoyable and easygoing pregnancy as possible and things that you can do to optimize that. And this is all based on my experience. So I am currently 34 weeks pregnant and I've had an okay pregnancy. I really struggled with nausea for the first and second trimester. I think everybody struggles with fatigue, so that's just part of the process. But apart from that, I haven't had anything too serious except for gallstones. But I will talk about my gallstones later. There is a separate video where I discuss my pregnancy gallstones. So if you're interested in that, you can go and watch that. So I've written out kind of my pieces of advice. So I will be looking down, but I guess the most important thing to get out of this video is to understand that you are in charge of your body and it's your pregnancy. And the more confident you are with that and the more understanding you are of that, the better your pregnancy will be. Okay, so my number one piece of advice is not to listen to anyone that advises you on or against something that doesn't align with the needs and wants of you and your partner. Okay, I'm going to say that again because it's really important. Don't listen to anyone that advises you on or against something that doesn't align with your needs and wants and your partner's needs and wants. Okay, now that's really important because there is so much information out there that is confusing, that doesn't necessarily align with your beliefs, that doesn't necessarily align with what you want your pregnancy to be like. So I'm going to give you a few examples. Something that I see a lot is people telling you to stop exercising. I know I go on about this, but exercising in pregnancy is so important. People telling you to slow down. Like, yes, there is an element of truth to that and you will understand that and it's just part of your own journey. But sometimes you don't need to slow down and people are just telling you that even though they don't know your situation properly. So it's just things like that is just unsolicited advice that is not welcome. And just if you stop listening to that or you just acknowledge that, yeah, they can say that, but I'm not actually going to be emotionally connected to what they've said, everything gets a lot easier. I promise it will. I get a lot of advice from all sorts, and this includes your family. Like this could be your mum, this could be your parents, this could be your brothers and sisters, it could be your best friends. Like they will all want to give you advice. Everybody wants to give us advice, but not all pieces of advice are true, important, make a difference, make you better. Some advice is just irrelevant to you as an individual. And also, we're all different people, so advice isn't always relative to you as an individual. My second piece of advice is to drink plenty of water. Now, there's a main reason why I want to discuss this, and I've written down why, because there's scientific elements to why drinking water in pregnancy is really important. Before we get pregnant, we're always told, drink loads of water, drink loads of water, drink loads of water. But in pregnancy, it's even more important. And by doing that, you are going to optimize your health during pregnancy. And that makes pregnancy easier. And it does make it enjoyable because you're not facing all of these horrible negative side effects of pregnancy. So number one of the biggest reasons for for drinking lots of water is maintaining your amniotic fluid levels. Now, that's really important because the amniotic fluid is what protects the baby. And by having enough water in your body, you're ensuring that your amniotic sac is filled with the right amount of fluid, basically. And then if it is filled with the right amount of fluid, your fetal development is good and healthy and all that good stuff. The next thing is blood volume. So we all know we're like 70, 80% water, basically. And during pregnancy, our blood volume increases. And that basically happens because it's to support the baby and the placenta. So if you look at it from a scientific perspective, you're helping your body deliver all the nutrients and oxygen to the baby that it needs by drinking more water. And by drinking more water and delivering all those nutrients, you're optimizing your baby's health, you're optimizing your health, and then you're not having to go in and out of hospital because of different health conditions or different symptoms that come with dehydration. We've also got preventing constipation and digestive issues. So this is something that my mum told me about when I got pregnant. She was like, just drink loads of water because you do not want your digestive problems to occur. It's horrible. And it's worse than if it ever was when you are not pregnant. So because we have different hormones, levels of hormones increasing within the body during pregnancy, it slows down our digestion, and that then leads to constipation. So drinking lots of water then helps with moving your system smoothly and just reducing that discomfort and constipation that you can get. And we don't want that, because that doesn't make pregnancy easy. And then the last one is regulating body temperature. So regulating body temperature is really, really important, because we're hot a lot of the time, and we're more prone to heat exhaustion and dehydration. So we're basically preventing ourselves from overheating. Okay. There are a few other reasons why we should drink loads of water during pregnancy. I'm just going to list them off just because we don't need to go into too much information. One, reducing UTIs. I've had UTIs before pregnancy. I haven't had any during pregnancy, touch wood, but UTIs are horrible. You're stuck on the toilet. No one wants that. Then you've got supporting your kidney function. So I want to talk quickly about my gallstones. Now, gall, bladder and kidneys are obviously different, but it's all linked. So your kidneys and your liver and a lot of your organs work a lot harder during pregnancy to filter waste and excess fluids from both your mum and the baby. So from me, I'm the mum and the baby. And basically by drinking lots of water, we're improving our kidney function, and that helps it perform optimally. I unfortunately have gallstones, and as a result, I've been to hospital twice, but had to call an ambulance 3 times because of the excruciating pain associated with the gallstones. I know that when I drink water, and I drink lots of water, I don't have that uncomfortableness. I don't have that pain. I don't have all of the problems that come with gallstone issues. Additionally, lots of acid reflux. Water is definitely going to help with your acid reflux. So it all links back and everything works together. So drinking lots of water is so important. And then you've got your general things like healthy skin, reduced edema. I have swollen feet and very sore feet, and I'm drinking loads of water, so I don't know if that's that avoidable, but maybe it's preventing it from getting worse. And then just your general mood and energy levels. And I know that when I drink water, my brain is clearer, it's less foggy, whether I'm pregnant or not, but we want it more so when we're pregnant, because we just do have baby brain. So that is why drinking water is so important during pregnancy. It does make it much easier. You don't want to be facing all these horrible symptoms. And it also just makes pregnancy so much more enjoyable. My next piece of advice is walking. Now, I have a dog, so I have to walk every single day. And I've done the dog walk pretty much every single day from day one up until this week. This week was the first week where I found walking extremely challenging, and I've actually just sent out an SOS to my close friends saying, if anybody wants to walk the dog, please come and walk the dog, because I'm finding it increasingly difficult to maintain my energy levels. And as a result of that, I get to the end of the day and I don't want to walk the dog. Luckily, I walk the dog in the morning, but sometimes I think he needs that extra walk in the afternoon, and I feel really guilty that he's not getting that. But aside from that, I've walked every single day, and oh my goodness, does it impact my mood? It impacts my health. I can't run or do anything too physically draining for a prolonged period of time, but I'm walking for about an hour every day. And because I'm walking for about an hour every day, I feel so much better. I feel stronger. My back isn't as bad as I think it would be if I wasn't walking every day. And I feel fit, and I feel really proud of myself for continuing that level of fitness all throughout my pregnancy. So aside from the physiological elements of walking, like improving and maintaining your cardiovascular fitness, improving and maintaining your muscular endurance, you've got increased blood flow. So it's going to help with nutrient, what's it called? Like movement around the body. You've also got oxygen intake, so it's helping with your lungs. You will find that your lungs are suffering during pregnancy. It's helping with all of that good stuff. Overall, for me, the best thing that I've got from walking is my mood, and how it can change my mood from being a troll to a fairy. And it's just magical. So I would really encourage walking. Okay, so food is something else I want to talk about. Now, everybody's like, oh, you're eating for 2. Not true. we're not eating for two. The science is suggesting that you should only increase your calorie intake by 250 calories once you reach your third trimester. Okay, so you should be continuing to eat throughout your first and second trimester, the same amount of calories that you would. Now, unfortunately, there's an element of disagreement there from me, because I am a lot less active during my first and second trimester than I was before I got pregnant. I'm still active, just not as much. And the reason being is because of the fatigue and nausea impacting my ability to motivate myself to get to the gym. So maybe there's something to look into that. Like, maybe if you're living the same lifestyle, then consistently eat the same calorie intake. But if you're somebody like me who's exercising less, maybe you don't need it. I don't know the answer to that. It's an interesting study. I have just been eating intuitively. So, for example, I ate pretty well my first and second trimester. Sometimes I'm like, I really want chocolate, but I haven't had bad cravings, and I haven't binged. I'd say I've eaten less because I am tired and nauseous and I don't want to eat. So that's an element of eating to consider. But I guess the important thing is to not be strict on yourself, and that goes both ways. Don't be strict on yourself to eat as much or to eat as little. And also, don't be strict on yourself if you don't feel like eating, but also if you feel like you need to eat, if that makes sense. So just take each day as it comes when it comes to food. That was a horrible sound. Ouch, that was my nail. And don't worry about what anyone else is saying, but definitely don't eat for two throughout your whole pregnancy, because you will just get fat. And I don't think that's going to help with being comfortable and enjoying pregnancy necessarily. I would also like to move on to advocacy and advocating for yourself in medical environments. Now, this is something that's really important. I follow a lot of pregnancy forums, and advocating for yourself in front of a midwife, in front of a nurse, in front of a doctor is really important, and it's really hard. And sometimes you will be told things that aren't necessarily true, and just because it's policy, not because it's best for you. Okay, and that's what's really important. So, for example, a situation could be you are feeling, I don't know, I should have thought about this in advance. You do not want an induction, okay? So you do not want an induction, but your midwife is telling you you need an induction because you are 39 weeks pregnant and 6 days. So you must book your induction in the next 2 days. Not true. You don't have to do anything, and I will come on to that later. But another example could be the fact that they want to measure you, and your baby is showing as small or large, for example, and as a result of that, they want to do more tests. You don't have to do those tests. If you feel fine and you feel like there's nothing wrong with your baby and you don't want to keep going in and out of hospital or to the doctors, don't do it. Like, I'm not condoning if you're worried about something, then you shouldn't get it checked up. Absolutely. I'm just pointing out the fact that there are a lot of things, and I found from my experience, that happen during pregnancy that are designed by male doctors historically, not necessarily now, but like historically, have been implemented into policy within medical settings, specifically the NHS, that don't apply to everyone. And as a result of that, people just go into this whole like one size fits all type approach, and it just doesn't work. So that's really important, and to really advocate for yourself if something doesn't sit right with you. Another example on the other extreme is you feel something's wrong and somebody is telling you there's nothing wrong with you. Advocate for yourself. That you have to speak out. You have to say to your doctor or your nurse, I know there is something wrong. You have to test the baby, and you have to do blood tests, and you need to check, and you need to do a scan. Like, shout from the rooftops if you think there is something wrong. Then you've got, if you don't want to do something, then don't do it. Now, this happens a lot in pregnancy, where people are told by a midwife or a doctor they have to do this. You have to have an induction. You have to measure the baby. You have to have a sweep. You have to have a C-section. You have to have an epidural. You don't have to have anything. If you do not want a sweep, if you do not want an induction, if you do not want an epidural, you do not have to have that. You could have a non-medicated birth at home. Oh, that's a really good one. If somebody tells you you have to go to hospital to have your baby, wrong, not true. You have a right, especially in the UK, I'm not sure about other countries, to have your baby wherever you want to have your baby. It is legally and morally and ethically sound to have your baby wherever you want to have your baby. So you do not listen to somebody if they're like, you have to come into hospital to have your baby. It's not true. I guess the point is you can say no, and saying no is really hard, but it's really important. It's a really important word to learn. And then I've got, how many have I got left? 4 more. 4 more? My scrolly thing isn't working very well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. So 1 is learn as much as you can about birth positions, birth experiences, what you can do in certain birth scenarios, and what's actually a risk versus what doctors perceive as a risk. Okay. Now, there is so much to do, and you have 9 months to learn about birth. So learn about it. Now, some people don't like to. They like to go into it ignorant. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just think you're more prepared. And if you think about it from another situation, let's use an anecdote. Let's say you're an athlete and you've just been entered into the Olympics, and you're usually a track runner, but you've been asked to do a field sport. And you go into this field sport and you're like, right, what do I do next? That for me is hell, not knowing what you're supposed to do. Now, in birth, I feel like it's the same thing. Like, you're given these 9 months to learn as much as possible about what you can do to improve your birth, to make your birth easier, to make your birth enjoyable. There's a lot of information about scaremongering around birth and what society has forced us to believe birth is like. But there are lots of other birth stories that are amazing and enjoyable, and people come out of them and it changes their lives. And I think that's something that people need to be more aware of. I obviously haven't gone through that yet, but my plan, now I know there's no planning birth because everything doesn't necessarily happen the way that you want it to, but is to enjoy birth. And I feel like if you're more prepared to enjoy birth, it's more likely to happen. If you're less prepared, it's less likely to happen. So please do your research. Go to courses, read books, listen to podcasts, talk to loads of different people about their birth experiences. Talk to people who have had birth in hospitals. Talk to people who have had birth at home. Talk to people who've had 1-hour labours. Talk to people that have had 3-day labours. Get all the experiences and understand that every single birth is different. And that leads into my next one, is understanding that everybody's birth is different and everybody's pregnancy is different. So if you understand that, then you will not worry and panic as much as you would if you didn't understand that. People set milestones within your pregnancy. People set expectations within your pregnancy, and not everybody experiences them. I know people who are in and out of hospital throughout their whole pregnancy because they cannot keep their food down. Nobody prepared them for that. I know people who know that they can be sick, they can be sick during pregnancy, and that aren't sick at all during pregnancy. I know people who have had other health conditions as a result of pregnancy, liver disease, gallstones, all of these other things. Nobody told me that was part of being pregnant, but it is. And when you find out more about that information, you feel a lot more prepared. You understand that there's nothing to worry about. Other women go through it. It doesn't affect your baby in most cases. And there are ways to cope and get through your pregnancy that can optimize the enjoyment out of it. Okay. We've then got 1, 2, 3 more. Don't panic and stay calm. Trust your instincts. So this kind of filters into my next one as well. So if you start to panic, it is really hard to advocate for yourself, to make clear decisions, to calm your baby down, to calm yourself down. If you're panicking, you're unable to do that. You're hyperventilating, or your adrenaline is up, and you could potentially just put your body into a high stress situation without intending to. And that's just not good for anybody. So anytime you're worried about something, before you start panicking, speak to a doctor, speak to a nurse, speak to a friend of the family, go and speak to a few different people. Don't just trust one person's opinion. And also trust your instinct. If you feel like nothing's wrong, but you're worried about the fact that there's lack of movement or reduced movement, go and reassure yourself. And also on the flip side, if you're worried about something and your gut is telling you like something is wrong, but I'm not showing any other symptoms, but I know something is wrong, trust yourself and believe in yourself. And as I said again, just you have to get somebody to do something about it and do further investigation. Then you've got this, which links into it, is when you're in those situations, whether it's you're worried about something and you're not sure about it, or somebody's telling you that you need to do something and you don't need to do it, or it feels wrong, there's a tool you can use called Brain. Now, our hypnobirthing midwife taught us this. Brain, what are the benefits of this result? I'm going to use induction because it's easy to go through. So what are the benefits of the induction? Next one, what are the risks of the induction? What for Brain, what are the alternative options for induction? What are your instincts around being induced? And then N would be, what if I did nothing at all? Okay, so that is a really good tool to use in any environment. You can use it for inductions, you can use it in surgery scenarios, you can use it outside of pregnancy, but that is a really good tool to use. And when you learn that, everything gets a little bit easier. Okay, my last one is get your partner on board. And that's on board with everything. Communicate to him how hard your pregnancy is. Tell him what you need from him or her, or whoever is going to be supporting you through this pregnancy. It might not be a partner, but it might be a parent or a sister. Just communicate with them so that they can help you. Communicate with what you want your birth experience to be like. Communicate with them what you want if they offer transfer to hospital. Communicate with them what you want and what you don't want as a result of your birth and your pregnancy. Get your partner on board and make sure that they are advocating for you as well as you. Okay, so they would be my biggest and most important pieces of advice during pregnancy. They are what's been important for me being a pregnant person, and they have been things that I've had to learn to do. They don't come naturally, but the more you learn, the more you research, the more intuitive you are and in touch with your personality and your wants and desires, it does get easier. So I hope that this video about my pieces of advice to make pregnancy a lot more easier, a lot more enjoyable, has sat well with you. And if you have any questions, I'm not a specialist, I'm not an expert, I don't want to be an expert. I just want to share my experiences within my pregnancy environment with you, because it's something that I think is really important. And we all just need to understand that everybody's different and not everybody's pregnancy is going to be the same. And once we understand that, then things get a lot clearer.